Hi guys, this is Jess. Welcome back to my channel. And today I thought we would do a fun reading on messages from Source about your spiritual growth and spiritual development. A lot of you guys have been asking for readings other than love, so this is my attempt at that. And for those of you who are interested, this is going to heavily mirror my soul focus readings that I'm doing monthly on my Patreon for the $5 tier level, where you do get 4 exclusive pick a card readings over there each month, as long as early access to my podcast where I'm talking about these kinds of spiritual concepts. So if you do like what I'm doing here, feel free to just go ahead and jump over there and see if that's something that you guys might vibe with. So with that being said, I do have 3 piles here. Pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3. I know, I'm back at it with my spices. So pile number 1, we have turmeric. Pile number 2, we have cinnamon. And pile number 3, we have parsley. By the way, I'm living for the new Frontier packaging. I freaking love them. They're also just a great company because they're a co-op. So if you're looking for a good spice company. Anyways, if you need another minute to pick your pile, go ahead and pause the video here. Otherwise, let's just start with pile number 1. Okay, pile number 1. Okay, pile number 1. This is kind of a big deal. You have the Moon card and the Rebel card here and the Temperance card. The Temperance card is major arcana. So this is talking about a heavy soul lesson that's coming through here. Now, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind seeing this is Ramadan. So if some of you guys practice Islam, I don't know a ton about Ramadan, but I do know that we are in the month of Ramadan. According to their lunar calendar. And this is exactly the message that I'm getting with the Moon and the Rebel card. So the Rebel, the light attribute is challenges authority to affect social change, reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. I don't see you outright doing that. I see you merging, you're going in, I'm all over the place, bring it in. You're going inward right now. This is definite High Priestess vibes versus the Hierophant, right? High Priestess is that mystical, inner, divine, feminine, chaotic quality, right? Chaos witch. Versus the Hierophant that attempts to make the mysteries known in order to be able to pass them off. And that process of trying to make the mysteries known to help other people is known in the Hierophant, right? But as they say in Buddhism, the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon. There comes a time where we have to make these traditions real for ourselves, right? And that is what I feel like you are doing currently. You are going inward. And I feel like maybe you're refraining. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all with what's going on in the world if you are refraining from actually going to the traditional places that you have gone to worship. If you have some kind of traditional organized religion, Islam or not, that you are limited or you're not going to, church or to temple or wherever the structured place that you would be going to receive some kind of word of mouth teaching or reading of the book. You're going inward right now. That's what, to my knowledge, Ramadan is all about. It's a month of introspection and prayer. And I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the messages that I'm getting. So I think it was during this period of Ramadan, which is, I want to say the 9th month. Oh my gosh, divine feminine energy, regardless of your gender, divine feminine energy is coming through her. I believe, and this is just how the message is coming out. I think that Ramadan is the 9th month of the lunar calendar for the tradition of Islam, and it's believed that this was the time that Muhammad's teachings came to him, right? So I feel like you're going through something similar where you are undergoing a period of reflection. You're reflecting on your traditions in a way that is making them real for you. So if you feel like you're going through a time where you're questioning everything, just know that itself is part of the spiritual process. You shouldn't be afraid of it, and you should trust that you are always in the palm of Spirit's hand, basically. You are free to question, you're free to explore. And this is going to bring up some fears, right, with the Moon card here, because the moon rules that dead of night where you don't have the clarity of the sun. But in the journey through the major arcana following the moon, this is the Sun card, where you've gone through the scary, hazy night of day where you hear the howling of the wolves, and you hear, the little crustacean that is just the deepest, most base fears of all humans, right, is there lurking for you. And you're trying to feel your way through, right, with the Moon card. You're trying to feel your way through that process. And then after that comes the dawning of the day here. With the Temperance card, you can see that the sun is in the background. You have an angel here, again, going within. The Temperance card talks about divine alchemy. And again, I feel like this angel is mixing fire and water. This is the masculine and the feminine path. And like I was just talking to you about the high priestess and the Hierophant, right? And the Hierophant is that masculine path of philosophy and knowledge and trying to pull things up from the depths and make them known, which is also represented in the moon card, the traditional moon card of the tarot. But the sun here is in the back, right? That promise of the new day, the promise of the light of day here. And you've got to walk this straight and narrow path. And I talk a lot about the straight and narrow path in my readings because I've always thought a lot about the straight and narrow path and what that means. And I think that that's significant because each one of us is an individual, right? And we have all these fingers pointing towards the moon, all of these traditions, right? That can help guide us, but ultimately our path is our own, and that's why our relationship with the divine is a relationship. It is relational, and we have to nurture it as if it were a living organism, and as if it were any other relationship that we have, right? You interact with it, you make yourself known, and it makes itself known to you, and it is this beautiful alchemy, and that is the process that you are engaging in now. You're going beyond your traditions, really, is what is happening here for your soul, and it's going to be a scary process, and it's pointing you inward, both in the moon card and in the Temperance card. And right now, with the Rebel card, right, the light attribute is challenges authority to affect social change, reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. You are allowed to challenge your authorities, and in fact, that is part of your process, especially during this period right now, where if you want to, like if you are finding yourself reading some kind of spiritual text that is important to you, ask the hard questions, put those texts in context, learn a little bit about those texts historically. I don't know if you guys could see that, the butt of that lighter, sorry. Spend some time in nature, spend some time alone. This is definitely a time for you to use the situation of the world, right? Where we're not really supposed to be going out a lot, and we're supposed to be like social distancing and isolating ourselves. You can turn this into a spiritual experience. In fact, it's probably necessary for you to do. And the next podcast release that I have, I talk a little bit about the astrology of this year in general. And this is a perfect time to be undergoing this kind of a process. You're probably going to be highly intuitive, so trust your own downloads, and even if it brings up fears, maybe keep a journal to where you can have a conversation with you, basically. This Temperance card, this is the divine path. This is finding your calling. This is the podcast that I just did, actually. This is crazy how this is all tying together, you guys. I did not pull these cards out intentionally. I know some people think readers do that. I don't do that. But I talked about the Temperance card and how this was reminding me of the North and South Node here with the water and the fire, and blending them together and drawing upon your creativity. So maybe look into your South Node. This strikes me as more of a South Node kind of a time. So look into your South Node. Look at that, what that means, right? Look at the sign that it's in. Look at the house that it's in. Because the South Node, you can really pull energy up in a healthy way from your South Node in order to fuel yourself in a very divine feminine sort of a way. Again, this angel has one of her feet, I think this is a her. I mean, it's intentionally androgynous. But one is on the ground and one is in the water. Again, talking about tradition versus that inner emotional space, and eventually that is going to lead to this soul purpose, divine mission. So don't underestimate this time. Also with the turmeric here, turmeric is, first of all, used in like golden milk, a lot of like traditional, this is like an Indian spice, right? But a lot of spiritual foods and stuff that, well, at least that I've been shown, have this in it, because I learned about turmeric through spiritual communities. But this is like, it helps tremendously with detoxifying. So I feel like you're going through this process of purification and detoxifying yourself from the world in order to reconnect and find that place where you connect with spirit within here. So if you have a certain meditation process that you're going through, drink a lot of water during this time is something that's coming through heavily. The moon, as you know, pulls on tides, and this heavy water energy that's coming in here. Probably refrain from alcohol if that's something that you do. And just you know, maybe start like some kind of a meditation process. I feel like you have a personal reflective process that this is pointing you to. But that's ultimately what your soul is trying to say. It's just go inward, rest, drink a lot of water, use this time wisely to reconnect with yourself and to check the systems that are outside of you to make sure that they're serving your inner needs, to identify the places where they're not, and then maybe you can even go to work there, you know, identify what, like why. But just this is a highly, highly divine feminine time for you. Also, one thing that's coming through with the moon card, if you identify with the divine feminine path, the moon ruled nakshatras give clues to that divine feminine path. So you could be feeling especially sexual right now, and that's also coming through with the temperance card as well. Now, I don't know if that's something that you want to maybe have some sex, I don't know, like safely and, you know, all of that, protect yourself for sure. Like it should be a process. I don't know if you've ever been into Tantra, this could be something that's like kind of talking to you about that. Maybe some of you are becoming a mother. Some of you are entering a creative period where you're perfecting your craft. This is Hasta with the hand. With the moon starts off in Rohini in the middle of Taurus. So again, watch your food, eat a lot of clean foods, like good healthy foods. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water, just simple stuff, you know, maybe light a candle, take a bath, light a candle, those kinds of like luxurious things with that Rohini Garden of Eden sort of energy. Some of you could find yourself, in this very kind of creative space. There could be something that you are mastering. Some of you could be finding out that you're pregnant. And then the moon ultimately reaches its peak in Capricorn and Shravana, which talks a lot about questioning, gathering knowledge, spoken word, wisdom. So maybe even talk out loud to yourself for some of you, or like if you have some kind of a platform, use that, because you are a divine channel right now, and you are connecting with your creativity. You're learning about your own power, especially your female power. I can't recommend Claire Nakti's video. She has a video on the divine female path. She has several of them where it talks about embracing your power as a woman, your creative power as a woman. You know, maybe curl your hair, take a bath, those kinds of things. So that's what I'm getting for you guys, pile number 1. This sounds like a very sacred time to you. So all the best. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, sorry, pile number 2. My sage was like going, and I didn't realize how smoky it was in here, and I just had to go handle that really quick. So let's start with your pile. Okay. It is like so, I can't believe it. I was really focused on that one. Okay. So, pile number 2, we have Pluto, Pioneer, and the light attribute is passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. The shadow attribute is compulsive need to keep moving on. And then the Page of Wands coming up. So, interesting. I'm sensing that Source wants to tell you with the cinnamon here that there's a strong need to stay grounded right now, and that's actually creative, like connected to your creative energy, because I feel like you are a very creative person. Maybe with this Pluto energy, you could have strong Scorpio, strong Pluto in your chart, but there's something where you're constantly reinventing yourself. This is what Pluto does, right? And it's the Phoenix. Well, the high vibration of Pluto is the Phoenix, right? And I feel like you guys are striving for that high vibration, right? It's Phoenix is the highest one, Eagles, second highest one, and then Scorpion. The Scorpion, which is so unfortunate that Scorpio is what is, the Scorpion is so attached to Pluto, because, you know, with the Phoenix here, I'm seeing that you are being called upward, especially if you have strong Pluto in your chart, strong Scorpio in your chart. Maybe look at your astrological chart, see what house Scorpio is ruling, see where your Pluto is, and see where it is that you're constantly creating from and constantly reinventing yourself from, you know, and see, I bet there's probably a message for some of you, like a more specific message there, because I feel like you're being called into a very feminine, highly creative space. With this, this always looks like a female part to me, even though it's like, it looks to me like either the eagle or the phoenix, truly like the phoenix coming through here. But you're you're being called to be creative through grounding yourself, because that's what's happening with the Page of Wands. I feel like you're constantly starting over and you're learning a little bit about a lot of things, but that you might actually be called to not to. And what's funny is, like, especially with the Pluto here, I'm being called to the shadow attribute of pioneer, compulsive need to keep moving on, right? Because you have the compulsion coming through with Pluto and that Scorpio energy, and then the Page of Wands to keep moving on. I mean, the Page of Wands is a passion in a beginning. Pages are students and messengers. So I feel like there's something that's wanting to be birthed right now through you, some kind of insight. Maybe this is even something sexual, something buried. And the energy of sex is just the energy of creativity. For some of you guys, I'm just going to say this, I feel that there's some kind of trauma that you're running from, whether or not you know that consciously, right? There's some kind of trauma that happened to you with this Plutonic energy here. Maybe when you were a child, and for some of you, I do feel that it's some kind of a sexual trauma that you find yourself running from often. And you have this compulsive need to keep moving on, and it's actually blocking your creativity. Something's trying to come through you. Yeah, so I feel like for some of you guys, this is like you crave adventure, you crave newness. You could be doing this in your relationships, especially sexual relationships. Maybe you tend to not get too attached to people, but yet like you kind of obsess over them on the same breath. Like you kind of obsess about them, but then you always tend to move on, or they do, because subconsciously some of you guys are pushing these people away because they get too close and they bring up your trauma. And so there's something going on with your thinking patterns, where with the way that you're looking at your sexual partners in particular, that is blocking. It's a pain response, and it's asking to be moved here. Some of you guys could be starting a new sexual relationship with someone. You have a new crush, you have a new love interest, and it's really taken a hold of your mind. Like it's really rooted in there. But this has to do with you and addressing an inner child issue. Because in the Wands, the suit of Wands is all about your soul mission. So you have an immense power to you that is creative, immense. It's just being looped around. It's being looped around it, and the universe really wants to help you move it. Hold on. Any advice that's coming through here? Pile number 2. We have the King of Swords and the 5 of Wands. Okay, so there could be a professional that can help you with the King of Swords. Is often a professional, maybe a psychiatrist, maybe a doctor. Someone who is highly educated, who can make head over heart decisions. Someone that you trust to help you sort out all of these different thoughts in your minds, because there's a lot of chatter that goes on in your mind, right? And it's exciting, and you feel pulled in all these different directions, and it's very dramatic, like like that dog, like those dogs out there fighting, like that is the energy of it. But this is strongly internal and possibly external as well. Maybe you like to shock people too. Maybe that's kind of a part of your MO, is you're like, deal with it. Like, this is who I am. And that's beautiful energy. I have an Aries moon. Keep doing that. Because you are a mover and a shaker, and you have had very interesting experiences. I feel like you have had a lot of very interesting experiences. You like to travel. You like to learn new things. I feel like you have one of those minds that gets very obsessed about certain things, and you're a deep diver, especially when it comes to spirituality. Honestly, this is someone who is highly creative and a very spiritual person, very deep diver with the spiritual side of it. You probably really like to read religious texts and stuff, but all of that is externally focused. It's easy, and I hi, this might as well be my group. But so no judgment at all. Sometimes when we are doing good things like studying spirituality, moving around, having all these adventures, experiences, it's spiritual bypassing, which is using spirituality and using like things that are typically good in order to run from ourselves, and I really see that you're being drawn to this swords energy, this air energy, where you need to cut out the nonsense, right? I'm surprised that the Eight of Cups didn't come out. That talks about moving from like the emotionality of water into the clarity of air. But this is telling me that you might need help shifting that and getting someone who is really good and really knowledgeable and will hold you to account and will just be able to kind of see through, help you wade through, bring some just the Suit of Swords, right? Swords is an anagram for words, and swords cut, right? And they're very precise. Someone who can help you do that within your mind, because, this is the Five of Wands. I said Five of Swords. But everything I said still matters, right? It's just a matter of picking one thing, because you have a lot of different interests right now, and it's because you're running from yourself. But you're being asked to integrate these. First of all, I think when you start, there's something that you need to face, and probably with someone's help you can face it. And once that happens, you're going to self-integrate. All of these voices are going to integrate into one voice that's going to be your soul mission, and something that you have to teach the world and to heal the world in that way. And you're going to have immense insight into it. You are going to be an expert in this subject. You're going to know this inside and out. And it is going to be your ultimate strength. This is you rising into that Phoenix energy. But there's some self-integration, right, that needs to happen. Individuation and self-integration, where you're all these different voices that are scattered and they're pulling you into all of these different directions. And that's going to help you be creative, right? We are born in the image of a creator God. And so that is the highest expression of creativity, is when you start to create, you start to join in the process, right? Universe, one song, and you start to add your voice. You don't have to change the world. You don't have to change the world all by yourself. I know a lot of us are like that, but there's a bunch of us here, right? And we're all fighting for dominance, and we just need to cut that out. We just need to like get rid of that, okay? Because if cinnamon is such a potent flavor. You're such a potent person. A little bit of you goes a long way, and just adding a little bit of you to a dish it brings everything together and it brings everything to life. But cinnamon is such a spicy, earthy flavor, and that's your flavor, right? You have a spicy, earthy flavor. And I feel like this experience is debasing you astrally, is what I want to say. I don't know. On the astral realm, you've been cut off from your base because of some kind of traumatic experience. And trauma, I underwent a trauma. And when it happened to me, I just said that it was part of my initiation experience. And that's been coming up a lot for me. And I don't mean that to excuse the goings on of the world, because the world is a place that is scary and a lot of inexcusable stuff happens here. But there are light workers around you that we have all gone through trauma, and we need to help each other out of it. There is someone who can help you out of this, is what I'm trying to say, right? Trauma is trauma, and there is no excuse for that. But you are being called to heal that. Maybe there's some kind of a book or knowledge. You could have already read it, or something that you're being pointed to, or you will be pointed to, that can really help you during this time. But this is a time to, I feel like there's one person, a professional. Don't listen to your friends that all have ideas and that are all spiritual and they all, listen to one voice that is educated, that air voice, the professional, the highly educated voice, that very clear-cut voice that's going to help you pinpoint the issue, the cause of this. Because if you can do that, you have a lot to give to the world. You're a unifier. Look at this image. You're a unifier. First you got to unify yourself though, and then you're about to bring the healing, right? So this is all about condensing yourself, getting clear, relaxing, looking at the hard thing, stopping running if that's what you're doing, stopping dousing yourself in sexual experiences, if that's especially sexual experiences that are immature, that you're not forming a deep connection, because you crave deep connection here with the Pluto card. And you can transmute this energy because you're leaking it. Through that. But that energy is for you. That energy is for you. And I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just channeling. Because yeah, see, things are boiling over here now. But if you just funnel it, you can funnel it. That's what the masculine path is all about. Look, he's looking at this as if it's a phallic kind of a symbol, right? And that is the masculine path. It's like masculinity is very straight, very projective. If it was all over the place, like, it wouldn't be projective, you know? And it's okay to start at the beginning at this process, you know, because I feel like you're a person with a lot of experiences and a lot of knowledge, a lot of deep knowledge about a lot of things here. You could be an expert in something, honestly, with the Pluto card here. Yeah. Dress comfortably came through too. Like it's okay to dress comfortably. That was for somebody. So this is about pulling your energy back, calling your energy back to yourself so that you can use it for what it was meant for, and grounding it. You're supposed to ground something here into the physical. So that is what I have for you. Pile number 2. I hope that wasn't too preachy. One of these days I'm gonna stop apologizing so much. I promise. All right, guys, I hope that resonated with you. Thank you for watching. Okay, pile number 3 with the parsley. Let's see what source has to tell you about your spiritual self. Oh, okay. First of all, if you guys do yoga, do yoga. If you don't do yoga, do yoga. This is spirituality being channeled through the body here. So, first of all, if you guys have been drinking a little bit too much, that's something that's being called out with the Neptune card. Neptune can talk about like abusing substances, but I am kind of getting like a shaman vibe here where, you know, alcohol is like called spirits. So it's just being aware of like how you're using substances is definitely coming through here. And then athlete, we have the light attribute is dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of the personal willpower and strength of spirit. And the shadow attribute is misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. So Neptune, it's very watery and it's very hazy. It can be very confusing and it can lure you kind of off your path. I feel like, honestly, this pile, it's talking to you about making very simple changes and just getting moving in your body. You know, drinking a lot of water, paying attention to the substances that you're putting into your body, the quality of those substances, and honestly, like, developing your willpower is coming through here. I do this one workout video, and at the end, it's Thenex. They're on YouTube, and at the end, he says this really inspirational thing that's like, you know, like, just show up every day because your willpower is just as hard, like, is just as important as any of these activities, because you're only as strong as you're willing to push. And I was like, oh man, yeah. Another thing that's coming through is like form. Okay, so like when you work out, you know, you're supposed to get your form right because you're going to build off of perfect form. So this is about foundations. Like if you build off of poor form, you're going to keep building off of poor form, right? So it's like, slow down. If you can only do 3 push-ups at first and with the right, you know, that's all you need. It's just about starting with the Knight of Wands, because the Knight of Wands is kind of in and out. I feel like your energy has kind of been a little bit up and down. Maybe your sleep has been off. And I think this is talking about, and I'm not a medical professional and I do not give medical advice here, but your hormonal system in your body is off. And so, you know, this is talking about literally just the basics. Getting on a schedule, drinking a lot of water, brushing your teeth at the same time, setting your alarm to get up at the same time, and using that willpower in order to do that. To transcend, you have to, like, the body's got to work with you, kind of a thing. With the Knight of Wands here, I'm getting that your energy level, and with Neptune, your energy level has been kind of fluctuating. Definitely just working out. I think doing just the little bit, you'll be surprised how much that helps you. So maybe just get out and go for a walk, do a few push-ups, you know, get on YouTube. There's like, you know, 10-minute workout videos. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. This is just reacquainting yourself with your body here, just to kind of help regulate, I feel like your hormonal system is what I want to say. For sure. Yeah, pretty straightforward message here with the parsley. Just, and also sunshine. This is like, you know that meme it's like the plant, and it's like you're basically just a plant with more complicated emotions. That's what this pile is saying. You know, it's just back to basics here. So honestly, that's pretty short, sweet, and to the point here. Taking care of your immune system is coming through. Just take care of your immune system. Work out. Yeah, I could try to turn that into something else, but it's short, sweet, and to the point. So that was probably very potent for you. I hope that resonated, pile number 3. And thank you guys for watching. And I hope you'll join me again. Bye.